So, GeoSage, I have brought you here so we can discuss a pretty polarizing game. There seem to be mostly two opinions on this one. It's either you love it or you hate it. And we have two people of those two opinions right here, and we're going to try to debate each other. So, Paper Mario
Oh yeah.
Sticker Star. It's a video game for sure. I would like first for you to describe your first experience with the game. When was the first time you played it, and how did you get through it?
All right. So it's very worth noting. I am very nostalgic about this game because essentially it's one of the first video games I ever played. I got my 3DS when I was young, and with it came a copy of Paper Mario Sticker Star from my parents. And so it and like Luigi's Mansion 2 were my first real video games that weren't just learning opportunities. So to start, it's worth noting I am kind of biased, but I did replay the game recently, and during that, I still found it a lot of fun. I still enjoyed it. I understand a lot of why people don't like it, but personally, I still find the game a lot of fun. Wouldn't call it a masterpiece, but solid 7 out of 10 game to me.
All right.
What
Now,
are your opinions on the game? I know you've made a video on it,
yeah.
so it's not
So,
super hidden, but do you want to go over it again?
yes. So, the way I got into Sticker Star was so this summer, after buying my first physical 3DS game, which is Tomodachi Life, I wanted to own the game after having played like probably over 600 hours of it. I'd had it like either Citra emulator or pirated on
Yeah.
my 3DS. So I actually bought a copy, and then after that, I was like, I want more physical 3DS games. So I went on some secondhand websites and saw what I could have bought. And there was one single copy of Sticker Star in my entire country. So I bought it. And retroactively, I thought, yeah, okay. I have the game now. I'm probably one of the few people in my entire country that do now. And I played through it for like an hour back then, and then I was like, okay, I'm probably not going to touch this again. But at the same time, I also have a lot of Switch games that I own but have not beaten. Luigi's Mansion 3, I've owned for about 3 years. I haven't touched it in two of those years. So I,
Same, actually.
yeah. So, pretty much every summer I set myself the goal of beating those games. I pretty much never do it. And this summer I thought, Sticker Star, yes, I'm gonna beat the game. I just bought it and everything. So, while on my vacation to Greece like 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I played through a vast majority of it. I went from level 1-6 to the final boss. I ended up on my final day of my vacation raging at the final boss, and then I beat it like 10 days later. So I have actually beaten the
Yeah.
game, but I made my video without having beaten the final boss because I just got pissed off. And I'll get into that I'll get into that later because I think it's pretty damn stupid. So that's my backstory with it. I think my experience with it was definitely soured by the fact that I was playing it purely for a video, and that's like the worst way to play something ever. But even
Yeah,
then,
I feel that because like there's been like Bravely Default 2. That's a game I made. I played for a while when it first came out, ended up quitting, later on came back to it for a video, and I don't think I enjoyed it very much, mostly because I was forcing myself to play it. So I totally get that.
yeah, yeah. Um, in either way, me beating Sticker Star has now gotten me down a hole of having to beat every Paper Mario just because my mind said so. I'm currently trying to get through Paper Mario 64. I've played it for like a couple hours, and like, holy shit, I can see the differences, and we will get into those because I have a list of them written down here. And then I will also buy the Thousand Year Door remake for my birthday in a month, so that's fun. And then maybe I'll go through Color
Nice.
Splash as well. Like, yeah, I just decided that once beating Sticker Star, I'm gonna beat the other ones. So, now that we've covered both of our experiences with the game, I'm gonna get into the talking points that we have here. So, The
Sounds
first
good.
one that I have here is there is no plot whatsoever, basically close to none. And first of all, I'll say because I have also played like the first couple hours of Paper Mario 64, there's like actually a plot in that game. There's like some stars, and there's like a magic wand that Bowser takes, and there's female Kamek that's like one of the main antagonists, which is interesting. And they literally uproot the castle from the sky, and not from the sky, obviously. They uproot it from the ground, and they go into the sky, and then they kick Mario out. Like that's a lot more than Bowser touched a star and it flung some things. Go get him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, in my opinion, the story of Sticker Star is easily the weakest link.
Yeah, I can
But
see
there
that.
is one thing I do like about it, and it's just a little bit of story we do get isn't main story, it's a lot of side stories. You hear there's a lot of little guys in the story. Like a bigger example, I guess, would be Wiggler's quest, who you're required to beat, but
Sure.
there's also a lot of toads who just kind of have their own thing going on.
Yeah.
Like the green toad at the very beginning of the game who falls down the fountain. You can paperize in the plaza and save him and then help him start a museum. There's a toad who keeps getting robbed everywhere, and if you save him all the time, you're rewarded with plus 5 HP.
Yeah.
And so I think the strength of Sticker Star's story, the only real strength it has, if I'm being honest, is just that the world feels somewhat alive. All the characters kind of have their own little stories going on, where the overarching story is essentially Bowser touch shiny sticker, a bunch of monsters get super powerful.
Yeah. I
And
can see
that's
that.
not a great story.
Yeah. Well, I do definitely agree with the fact that there's a lot of little other side characters that actually have something going on. I'll say this now. My favorite part of the plot doesn't even tie into the actual thing. The Enig Mansion is really good. Like, honestly. The Ghost
Oh,
House
the
is just
mansion, that's my
super good.
favorite area.
Yeah.
If I had to choose a favorite stage, I think it's that.
I think that might be my favorite stage, too. It's just good. And it's also pretty much completely
Yeah.
disconnected from the rest of the game. Mostly, at least.
Yeah, it's true. It feels like you go from playing Paper Mario to playing a Paper Luigi's Mansion sort of thing for
Yeah.
just a little bit, and it's a nice change of pace.
I like the Enig Mansion. It's genuinely really good. The green toad in 1-4 that's a wuss and doesn't want to go down a little fence. As much as he's annoying, like I kind of like him. On the other side
Yeah,
of things,
and
I fucking hate Wiggler. He sucks.
yeah, I remember watching your video. You mentioned that, and I think I like the character of Wiggler's head, but his body parts kind of ruin that because they all have just the mind of their own that leads to just World 3 becoming a lot more
Yeah.
complicated and drawn out than it needed to be.
An entire talking point I've written down here is World 3 just being ass. Like specifically
Yeah.
World 3.
It's
All
a
the other
shame
ones
because
are pretty damn inoffensive. Especially Worlds 1
World
and
3 has
5.
my favorite boss fight, which is
Same
so
here.
strange because the
Same
rest of
here.
the world is a slog.
Same here. Gooper Blooper is just fun. I
Mm,
like him.
yeah.
Okay. There's more stuff to the plot aspect I have going on here. One, Bowser just
Yeah.
doesn't talk.
Yeah. And I think
Nothing.
as a kid that was something I didn't mind because,
Yeah.
I'd played Mario for the Wii and Bowser didn't talk there.
Yeah.
But now knowing like, hey, the other Mario RPGs, like Super Mario and Luigi or the other Paper Mario games, Bowser's an actual character.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of my biggest disappointments with the game is he could have been a cool character if they'd let him be.
Yeah, Bowser Jr. is like 10 times more developed than Bowser in this game. It's actually insane. It's
Yeah.
like from the little bit of Paper Mario 64 I've gone through, like Bowser's just so much more of a character. Like what happened? Like the main
Yeah.
defense point that people have for Sticker Star is, oh, they tried something new. okay, what does trying something new have to do with Bowser just not existing, basically, as a character?
Yeah, and I think one of the main things, the main reasons that Sticker Star changed so much, if my information I remember is correct, is essentially it was, in Nintendo's mind at least, it was making the Mario and Luigi series, which was struggling at the time, feel it was becoming less popular due to Paper Mario. And so that's kind of why they tried to move away from the RPG elements of leveling up and tried to move away from a lot of those things. So my only guess is that's one of the reasons they were like, hey, if we make Bowser less of a character here, he'll stand out more in the Mario and Luigi series.
Okay,
Ultimately, I think that's a weak defense and it didn't work out. But it
that's
does give a little bit of extra context to why they did it.
I guess, yeah. But at the same time, why would you do that? Why would you deliberately
Yeah,
sabotage?
it's
Why would you deliberately sabotage a successful series to make a less successful series more successful? What? It's
yeah,
That
and
makes no
I don't know
sense.
why it's a shame because
Yeah. Realistically, the entire game just has so many design and just like general choices that make no sense. So like that's believable. I'll say that. But like why?
Mhm. Yeah, and I think it's ultimately a fumble of the game that
Definitely,
Bowser
yeah.
could have been such a cool character if given the opportunity, as shown by previous games where he is a legitimately cool character.
And here he just is not. Okay.
Here he shows up for the very final fight with Big Sticker, and that's it.
Yeah, that's realistically all that there is to do. Next character that is pretty botchered, Peach. She's just nothing. She contributes nothing.
Yeah,
Peach just exists at the beginning, gets kidnapped, and then at the end, she's there. That's it.
yeah,
Here's another thing. Peach isn't even like the main thing you're going after. You're mainly going after Bowser to stop him from uniting the things, you know?
yeah,
Like, he has ultimate power and all that. Like, Peach is just kind of like a side thing. And once
yeah.
again,
Honestly,
I'll say this first
sorry,
and
what
then
were you
I'll.
saying?
Yeah. In Paper Mario 64, once again, I hate to compare this, but it's true. Peach does something. Like from like the 4 hours once again that I've played, I can't speak for the whole game, but from what I've played of Paper Mario 64, like every now and then they interrupt like what's going on with Mario and then they cut to the castle and then Peach does stuff. Like after you get to a certain area, it cuts to the castle and then randomly like a star spirit goes inside and talks to Peach and Peach gives the star like an amulet thing, and then the amulet gets to you via the star, and that's the action commands. You unlock the action commands with that. So Peach does something to advance the game forward. In this one, she's just a side quest, if anything. Which is
Yeah, it seems like they kind of just sidelined Bowser and Peach, threw
pretty
them
much
in
entirely, yeah.
probably just to check the box. Oh yeah, Bowser's in the Mario game. He has to be the final boss.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, Peach is in the Mario game. That's her job.
yeah, that's
It
her.
feels a lot more like a traditional 2D Mario platformer game in terms of storytelling,
Yeah,
which
I
I
agree.
think is just a big missed opportunity because they could have done something really cool with the characters like they've done in other games, but just
Yeah.
didn't.
Well, this is something that I've heard in Scott the Woz's the new Super Mario Brothers-ification of Mario. Basically, I don't remember the exact title of the video, but that's basically what he talks about. He talks about how the new Super Mario Bros. Like those 5 games, pretty much infested all of Mario during the 3DS and Wii U era, and pretty much sterilized everything. Stuff like Mario, good example, Mario Party 10. And I can definitely see that here
Mm.
because the new Super Mario Brothers games have no plot. This basically has no plot either. Peach just exists to get kidnapped in those. Same thing here. And the general way you traverse levels is also very similar to if anything, it's more similar to Super Mario 3D Land than a new Super Mario Bros. Game. But that's the farthest it goes. So,
And I honestly, oh,
you say You
I
say.
don't have any rebuttal to that. I think that's definitely a point against Super Mario Sticker Star because it is ultimately
It's
a
ultimately
game that missed a lot of
yeah.
opportunities and decided to take too many elements from the more mainstream Paper Mario, or not Paper Mario, the more mainstream Super Mario games
Yeah, like the
instead of
MSN
following
games,
up
pretty
on what
much.
made
Yeah,
Paper Mario games.
yeah. I once again heard this in I'm pretty sure Demich video. I'm pretty sure I saw this like 3 or so years ago, and then I revisited it now for this. It was a top 10 worst Mario
Mm.
games of all time or something. He put Sticker Star number one, which definitely not. I would put like something else at number one, but like Mario's Tennis, Ultra Smash, Mario Clash, stuff like that. Because Sticker Star is a functioning video game, kind of. The other
Yeah.
things just fundamentally lack stuff. Sticker Star is at least like a full game. And he says that the best way he
Mhm.
can describe Sticker Star is if you he says Super Mario 3D Land if every time you defeat an enemy you go into turn-based combat. Which to be honest he's kind of right.
Yeah. And I think now would be a good time to discuss the combat of the game
Yeah.
because
This is another thing I
it's
have
a big
written
element,
down. This is
but
another thing I have written down. The battle system is not good. It's not. My main problem with it is the fact that literally everything is disposable. If they just made like certain
Mhm.
abilities stickers, then I would have no problem with it. Like for example, the way they use the mushroom sticker to heal, that's perfectly fine to be disposable and for you to only have a limited amount of supply, a limited supply of them. But then again, stuff like basic attacks, stuff like a jump or a hammer, like the once again Paper Mario 64, in that game, jump and hammer you can use infinitely. And I feel like it should have been the same here because if you do not have stickers on you, you're dead. And this is the main reason that I raged at the final boss fight. Like on the last day of my Greece vacation, I was at the final phase, and I just completely ran out of stickers to attack him, and I could not do anything, and I just had to watch him. That's it. I ran out of stickers
Yeah.
to attack him. And usually, yeah, okay, the game sometimes gives you stickers, but like on the final Bowser, jump stickers do nothing because Bowser has like spikes and all that, and you can't hit him. And like the chances of you getting like an actually good sticker from Bowser are close to none. Most of the time, when bosses give you stickers, it's usually a mushroom, because I have had that happen to me many times. From the couple of Kamek boss fights and the final Bowser, they all gave me at least one mushroom throughout the fight. And the only time I've seen him give someone like an actually good sticker is in Zack Scott Games' final boss battle, where he gave him a flashy fire flower, which like if that wouldn't have happened, Zack Scott Games would have gone in the exact same way as I did on my first thing. He just completely ran out of stickers, and Bowser was on 9 HP, and like
Oh.
and if he had not gotten
Yeah.
that fire flower, he would have been boned. And like I had that thing happen to me, but I just got the bad ending, and then that pissed me off so much. I was like,
Ooh.
"Fuck this! I'm not beating it. I'm just gonna make my video." And then I went back and beat it.
Yeah. And I think the combat system is far from perfect, but
Yeah.
I personally do find enjoyment out of it for a few reasons. And one, I think the first thing I would like to say is I think the combat's kind of similar to Breath of the Wild. You've played Breath of the Wild, right?
I don't have that game.
Ah. Well, it's a good game, but
I
one
know.
of the biggest thing that people don't like about the game, but I really do, is that all your weapons break.
Oh yeah,
There's limited durability on all of
I
them.
remember seeing a video on that. Yeah.
And and I think it's a really cool design choice. To
Yeah.
me, it's something that I find really fun because I guess it just adds a second lose condition.
Yeah.
And additionally, I think having everything in Paper Mario Sticker Star be a resource that you can consume helps me, who's a big hoarder in a lot of video games. I don't like to use items if I don't have to. I like to try and just use the default attacks. But by making every attack something that you have to consume, it gets rid of that hoarder mentality. Like I either use a shiny jump to do more damage, or I use a regular jump to do less damage. Either way, that's a sticker slot.
Okay.
I think it gives some resource management to it as well, especially for the boss fight at the very end, where it's essentially a massive gauntlet, and you have to choose, okay, do I want this 4 slot sticker that will do a lot of damage, or can I get more use out of a 1 slot sticker that does less damage?
I get where you're coming
And
from.
I find that part of thing really fun. I love that strategy element of it where everything is more resource management esque, and anything you do, if you decide to take a fight, you have to expend some of your stickers in order to get usually coins. And I found a
Coins.
lot of the time in my most recent playthrough, I just avoided combat, which some people may think is less fun, but to me, I found it more fun just because it didn't mean I felt like I had to ever grind. It was
Okay.
always combat is kind of a later choice. You fight when you have to, or because an enemy's blocking a question block I want to hit, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. I would get where you're coming from, but at the same time, I'll get this out of the way now. I feel like jump and hammer should not be disposable. Those are the very basics, and in certain situations, you cannot win fights against enemies that, for example, have spikes on their head, and you just don't have any hammer stickers. I feel like those two 100% should not be disposable. And with the
Mm.
resource management thing, like coins aren't really used for much. They use just to buy more stickers. That's really it. I get the saving all of your stickers for the final boss at the end of the world, and they're yeah, that's perfectly valid. I'm thinking of how to continue. My mind is yeah, okay.
It's all good, I feel that.
The fact that you can avoid combat, I feel like most players, especially if someone like you who likes to not expend their expendable resources, it's just more, it just saves more to just not have to go into combat. And if I remember once seeing a video of a guy trying to beat Sticker, start with the least amount of battles, and it because that's a challenge run that can be done, I feel like that's not really a good thing when you're pretty much incentivized to skip combat because it's like the main thing of the game. That's one of the most vital elements to any RPG is the general gameplay loop of like the battling enemies and all that. I feel like it
Yeah.
being I wouldn't have a problem if it was unavoidable. That's why pretty much all RPGs have a runaway button anyway. I feel like just the fact that you
Mhm.
are incentivized to not do them is not good.
Yeah. And I kind of feel that, but personally, I kind of like the idea of every enemy being, a bit of a challenge. Like in a traditional game, every goon you fight, oh, that's just free, an easy fight. Where in Sticker Star, it feels like each enemy is a legitimate threat, not because they can actually kill you, but because they'll drain your resources before the boss fight. I
Okay.
guess in my mind,
Yeah.
the boss fights are the key combat situations, and they're well designed. They each have specific weaknesses that don't completely trivialize the boss, but make them a lot easier. Or if you don't have those, they can still be beaten without.
Okay. I agree with you there, but okay, now that we've pretty much talked about the main combat system, it's time to talk about the bosses. Because the thing that they do
Yeah.
have a weakness, yeah, that's perfectly fine. I just think it would be nice if it was indicated. How?
Yeah, the weakness they have is basically just
Yes.
intuition, or you look it up or you don't get it,
Yeah, it's
which
like,
isn't great.
what is the logic of a baseball bat draining like 80% of the Pokey's health?
I think the only logic is baseball bat hit baseball's pokey look like baseball,
Yes.
therefore baseball bat hit pokey, which isn't great logic,
Yeah.
but
And once
it's
again,
kind of what they went with.
how would you know where the baseball bat is unless you just randomly came across it in 2-3 by opening a fucking coffin?
Yeah, which honestly, I'd completely forgotten about its existence in my latest run until I did stumble on it. So I think the placement of it isn't bad, but it isn't good either.
Yeah.
It's
If
if
the
you do a little bit
weakness,
of exploring, you're
yeah.
good, but
Yeah. I mean, I found it perfectly fine without a guide or anything. I found it like just because I opened literally every single coffin that I came across in 2-3. So I just naturally found it. But otherwise, yeah.
yeah.
I feel like if they would make a boss's we if they do make stuff like this with with each boss having a weakness, I feel like there would be two vital things that would make it a lot better. One, have the boss's weakness be like figure outable, and two, put the item that you need, like just don't make it ridiculously hidden. Like, for example, the
Yeah.
blooper in World 3, as much as I like it, it's my favorite fight in the game. It's genuinely a lot of fun and the music is really fucking good. That's like my favorite track in the game, probably. Either that or the
Mhm.
World 6 overworld music. Those are my two favorites, but as much as I like that blooper, there is a pretty big chance that you did not see the sponge in 3-9 and did not know that that would be the thing that pretty much trivializes the entire boss. Because, like, not only does it completely shield you from the poison it spurts out, it also gives it back to the boss and that deals 30 damage each turn. Like,
Yeah, it's kind of broken when you know what to use, and if you don't, that boss becomes insanely difficult.
if not impossible, because I have heard people say that the blooper is genuinely impossible at that level in the game without a sponge and without like with a newcomer's skill level, someone who hasn't been the game before goes to that fight for the first time. I've heard that it is genuinely impossible to beat it without the sponge. The Pokey in World 2 is beatable without the baseball bat, although still really hard. Other bosses I feel
Mm.
like are fine when it comes to this. The big ass ice statue in World 4, like, it makes total sense to bring stuff like a radiator and a bunch of fire flowers to it. That makes complete sense. I'll say that. That's, yeah, okay. And the World
Yeah.
5 boss, PD Piranha, pretty much all you have to do is just knock him down and then he's free. But the fact that PD Piranha is the only fight in the game where his weakness you can tell without just
Is
yeah. I mean the World 4 boss kind of
yeah, it's yeah. I think it's definitely a weakness of the game that they could have done better,
yeah.
but it's also just a small little puzzle that Sticker Star does a lot of.
Yeah.
And I find them I found them a lot very enjoyable as a young player. Now I don't get that same joy just because I remember a lot of those answers.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that coming back and replaying, I don't have as good of a grasp on it as someone like you who just played it fresh
Yeah, for the first
and
time too.
didn't know all of that from
Yeah.
5, 10 years ago playing.
Yeah. The puzzles in general, this was the next talking point. We transitioned seamlessly. Let's go. The
Yeah,
puzzles
we're
in
so good at
general,
this.
I feel like sometimes can be way too cryptic. Like I
Yeah,
get one puzzle that I think they genuinely did well is in Surfshine Harbor when get the boat to start, you have to go to the back and then cut off that rope with a scissor sticker. That's fine. Like I figured that out on my own, which is good. Like if you want
hmm
puzzles where you have to go get a certain thing from a certain level, first of all, the scissors are pretty much unmissable. No player will just miss those, I feel like at least. So it is a
yeah,
sticker
you
that you
have to get them.
yeah, it's a sticker that you have come across before and you can tell, "Oh, rope, scissor cut rope." Who could have guessed?
hmm
Like, you can. That's a good puzzle, but at the same time, Surfshine Harbor has one of the worst ones in the game where the cheap is unwinnable without the fish hook. How do you get the fish hook?
Yeah,
Secret door in 3-6.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I'll be honest, when I'm playing this game, I have a personal gripe with that fishhook just because I was trying to beat it coinless, but you need a door to get the fishhook, which is 80 coins. So that kind of killed that.
oh,
But I do
that
think
is.
it's an interesting way of doing it because it essentially guarantees people learn how to use the door sticker. They put the door map where you buy them and the fish hook that requires a door in the same area, which is
I guess, yeah.
nice.
That's understandable
But
then. Yeah.
so
Okay.
I think
I
they
think
did a decent enough job at making sure you get it, or at least leading you to it, but not in a way that's like, oh, intuitively need to find a fish hook to get this fish. Where am I going to find that? Oh, I got to play through World 3.
yeah.
I think that's part of the game's interesting part is it's semi-open world where
Semi.
in order to start World 3, you can go to the first area from the very beginning, but you can't progress until you get the trumpet, which comes from the end of World 1.
Yeah, I get that.
World
I get
2,
that.
you can kind of do after you open the door. The boat you can do at any point, and it's an interesting thing
The
because
boat,
once you unlock the boat, you get access to easy shiny stickers, which can trivialize the first three worlds.
yeah, to be fair though, the boat you kind of at least need to do 2-2 before you can get the boat because to get the ship wheel, you need to get the
Yeah.
light bulb from 2-2. Like that is
Yeah, you
just
need the light
necessary.
bulb, you need the scissors, and you need the fish hook. So you
Yeah.
have to go
You have to go to
into
every
the other
single
three
area
worlds
before
first.
unlocking the other worlds, yeah.
Hmm.
I feel like
So,
somebody out there will have done like this is the best route to take that gets you easy access to the best whatever. Like someone who way overthought everything just to get access to like the
yeah.
World 4 shop as fast as possible.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
It's
get that.
definitely the sort of thing where if you're coming back to it, you can route it really well to be like, oh, I want to get to World 4 as soon as possible, so I got to go here, here, and here. But for a new player, you're kind of slowly led to all those things, which I think is decent game design. There's probably better options, but I don't
Yeah.
dislike that aspect of it by any means.
Yeah.
What
If
are your thoughts on it?
my I mean, I think that's a good argument that you made, but at the same time, I think that's kind of discouraged by the fact that every level is clearly numbered like 1 dash something. Like
True.
why? Like the only other instance I can think of is in New Super Mario Bros. U. When past World 2, you can choose to either do World 3 or 4, and you can just skip one of those two, just depending on if you feel like it. That's like
Yeah.
that's the kind of the same thing with Sticker Star, where you can choose to do either after World 1, obviously. You can choose to go to either like the desert or Wake Up Wiggler in 3-1.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
uh,
And I think, like with the snow area, it's labeled 4, where the jungle area is labeled 5. It's another one of those things where people will just tend to be like, oh, I should do level 4 next because I'm better equipped for that.
it just makes more sense to take them in the order, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. On the topic of the puzzles, there is one that I feel like is really stupid. The garbage puzzle in 5-1. Why do you need I mean, I know you don't need a goat for it, but why does it work? Why can you use a goat in
It works.
5-1? It works, but like I
I
don't
did not
have
know that.
it does. You can genuinely use a goat for that sticker. For that, you can use a goat sticker for the garbage puzzle in 5-1 instead of a vacuum, which would make a lot more sense, which is also
Um,
what I did. I remember for World 5, that was the only world that I was in call with a friend while doing, and I remember him telling me, oh, you need a goat for that. And then I'm like, are you sure? So I went to get a vacuum, and it functioned.
I did not know that before. And honestly, I think that's one of the things that the game could benefit most from is
Yeah, having
making more
multiple
areas where
settings.
you can experiment. Like the one snow area where you have to use the radiator. I
Yeah.
think that's just a shame because granted, it guarantees you have to do the secret challenge and sniff it to whiff it, which is probably why they made that required. But if you could use other things, if you could use a lighter or a magnifying glass or a vacuum to suck up the snow, or any number of different creative ways to get through those areas, I think would have greatly made the game feel more fun. Where
Yeah.
the way it is now, where you have one or two solutions, does hurt it.
Especially when for the for the snow puzzle in 4-1, like you just listed a ton
Mhm.
of other solutions that work just fine. Like the vacuum is a pretty good solution, and the vacuum is one of the few items that you don't need to go out of your way to find. Like, yeah, fine, you need it for 2-4, but it's easily accessible in Surfshine Harbor whenever you need it. So
Yeah.
that's why for especially for the puzzle in 5-1, I instinctively want to get the vacuum. And I feel like that's good because the vacuum is one of those thing stickers that you can't really beat the game without, you know?
Nah, you need it to
You need it
clear
you need it
both the
to
desert area and sometimes the garbage area. Apparently, you can use a goat too, though,
you can use a
which is
goat and it just
hilarious to
eats
me.
up everything. And by the way, there's apparently a hint for you needing to use the goat. There's none for the vacuum. So I feel like the devs intended for the first solution to that puzzle to be the goat, because you know how in that garbage disposal there's like paper in there. There's some sheets of paper inside of there that say stuff on them. There
Oh,
are
yeah?
two sheets of paper that are the lyrics from the song Birdo sings before giving you the goat. And that's the indication that you need to get a goat for that.
Ah, that
Okay.
is interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. It's just.
I think that comes to my only talking point I have left. I want to talk about all the ones you have, of course, still, but
Yeah,
I
I
do want to
get that.
talk about just the charm of the game. I think that's its strongest point,
Yeah,
is that the
I
game's
agree with you
just
there.
a fun world. You go through, you have wacky things like you can have a goat eat the garbage off of it. You've got levels where you're clearing out a boo house, and then the next level you're on a minecart chase, or you're taking a ski lift. You're on a raft in some of the jungle levels with a big sheep chasing you, and I think the game just does a good job, especially later on, of making things fresh and just feel like a fun experience.
Okay,
And I
with
think
that.
that
Yeah.
objectively the game's bad, but the charm of it makes it fun anyway to me.
Yeah. There are
Anyway,
there
what
are
are
a
you saying?
lot of things. There are. I said this before, but if the battle system wasn't the way it was, like 70% of the game's problems would be fixed to me, in my eyes at least. The
Yeah.
general presentation, the music, the visuals, the general aesthetic of the game was something I also had noted down. I'm glad we got that covered. And yeah, I do agree. The game genuinely, like, it's good when it comes to establishing the world. In the previous Paper Mario games, the paper aesthetic was just like an aesthetic. That's it. It did not really matter to the world much. Here, like, yeah, it matters. You can argue that that's either bad or good, but like I think it's a good thing in this case because it's literally called Paper Mario. Like, come on. So yeah, that's a
Yeah.
definite high point of the game that I do definitely agree with.
hmm And I think that, it's kind of like comparing the movie Sing and the movie Zootopia, where they're both worlds filled with animals, but in one of them, that's just style choice. It doesn't matter that they're all animals, where Zootopia becomes a main part of the world. Everything's built around that idea.
Yeah,
I think that that's the thing Sticker Star does best. And I think, like you said, the combat is the biggest
is by far the biggest
challenge for
issue.
people.
Yeah,
But
like
it's something that I personally don't mind, which I think is why I like the game. I play Fire Emblem all the time, and I love the idea that I can lose the game if some of my characters die. If I don't have the right preparations, I can just lose the game. And I like that aspect of Paper Mario where if I reach the final boss fight unprepared, I'll get soft locked. I'm challenging these bosses lightly. I can legitimately come to a point where they can kill me faster than I can kill them, and I lose.
yeah, I get. Okay.
So I think that's a big thing. Oh, sorry, keep going.
Okay. I'm looking through my list of talking points and I'm noticing that there's only really like a couple more that we have left, like 3 or so. So I'm just going to go to one that we
Mhm.
should have talked about when we talked about the characters. There's really only like 3 that are well developed. Mario
Yeah.
says nothing throughout the whole game. absolutely nothing. Realistically, the only two characters that get more than a couple lines of dialogue are Kirsty, if you let her, and Kamek. That's it.
Don't forget Wiggler. He has a few
Yeah.
lines of dialogue and then some.
Like a couple in World 3, yeah. And then after that,
That's about it.
he only exists as barrier of entry to World 6. That's it.
Yeah,
Which
which is a shame
yeah.
because I think it would have been so hardcore if they had Wiggler die while getting you to the castle.
That would have been super cool, especially since the only time they actually try for an emotional moment is near the it's pretty much in the final Bowser when Kirsty sacrifices herself. She has
Yeah,
accomplished pretty much nothing throughout the game. She just kind of exists in the background as like she just is there, and she kind of yells at you most of the time. I don't like Kirsty. I think she's very unlikable. But
yeah. I think that's something that
realistically,
changed between my playthroughs. Oh, sorry, keep going.
there are no other characters that if they really wanted like a death scene in the final battle to feel emotional, there's no other characters for them to do it with other than Kirsty, which is not likable in the first place, at least to me.
Mhm.
Okay, now you say.
I think Kirsty's the character I've had the biggest opinion change on since playing it as a kid. I thought, oh, this is cool crown flyer thing who gives powers. Where now playing, I do kind of get that annoying kind of, oh, you got to do this and this vibe, which I don't like as much now. But when I was a kid, I got really attached to her. One thing I think the game does in a kind of cool way is there's two levels, I believe, where you lose her.
There
There's
are,
the PD
yeah,
Piranha fight where she gets eaten, and that kind of affects
yeah.
how the game plays. You don't have paperization and you don't have the battle spinner, two big advantages.
The battle spinner.
Also, there's the one in,
I know which one
yeah,
you're talking about. The cave 3-7. I know which one.
yeah, which I think
Like, yeah, sure. That's a
that's
fun
another
idea.
level where I love it now, but as a kid, it gave me so much trauma losing all my stickers and thinking like, "Oh, I've grinded so hard. I spent a full 45 minutes collecting all these stickers and now they're gone."
You can gain like all of them back in the
But
level. Like it's not that big a deal.
yeah,
But at the same,
it's
I
not a
love
big a deal now.
one thing I love is that if you try to use the hammer in 3-7, Mario just gets depressed for a second. Like you can just spam the
Yeah.
B button constantly, and Mario just goes. That's fun. I like that.
Yeah,
Three
it's a
seven.
nice just little touch.
Yeah, I think in general the game has some well-designed levels, like Sniff It or Whiff It, which in the EU version is Hit It or Sniff It. That's actually such a worse name. Why didn't they just go with the US name? Whatever. The game show level is good. I like the game show level. It's a fun level. The Enigmansion, Mansion, once again,
Yeah.
is really good. Another level that I personally liked, but I don't know if in general it's liked, is 4-6, the boss of World 4. I liked that level. The level with the minecart and the waiting in line. I like that level. It has like a little bit of a personality.
Yeah. I
Uh,
think I really like that one just because you have the legitimate option to just wait in line if you want.
yeah.
Like you can use the door fast pass, you can fight through all the shy guys to cut in line,
That's what I
or
did.
you can just legitimately sit there and wait for 2 minutes, which is what I did in my most recent playthrough.
That's
And I
fun.
wasn't bored because I knew it was completely optional, so I was just laughing the
Yeah.
whole time.
I love the fact that if you cut ahead in the line, a shy guy has like that speech. You know, in Tomodachi Life, like the black speech bubble when the Mii has a problem, they just have that above their heads. I love
Yeah,
that. That's actually just really cute. I like that. Good touch.
yeah.
Okay.
And I think that level specifically gives enemies a lot of personality too,
Yeah.
which is another reason I like the option of not fighting a lot of enemies.
Yeah.
A lot of the enemies in the game you can just run away from or avoid fighting, and it makes it feel like you're doing a good thing compared to a lot of Mario games where, oh, I just stomp on a Goomba, I
Kill. Murder.
touch the flagpole, and they all turn to dust.
Genocide.
This just feels more like they're actual characters in this
Yeah.
world, which I think is a good
Yeah, but then
world
again, do you
building
know
thing.
what games actually managed to do that better? The other three that came before.
Yeah.
Like that's
And
not a strength of this game specifically, it's a strength of Paper Mario in general.
yeah, and that's true. The
Yeah.
Paper Mario series, I think, is widely liked, at least the original trilogy is widely liked for great reason. It's because it's a fun franchise that takes the traditional Mario world, recontextualizes it, and makes it a lot more fun.
Yeah. I have there's like a couple of more battles I would like to talk about, and then pretty much after that we're out of battling. So, the last Kamek, it's dumb. It's pretty much just the World 2 mid boss
Mm,
again, except split into three. I don't like that Kamek. And like another
yeah.
thing, that Kamek is completely skippable if you just get a 3 on the roulette and then choose like three flashy stickers that you can hit twice. Like if you know the timing with the flip flops, 8 to the first Kamek, 8 to the second, 8 to the third. Bam. Win.
Hmm.
That fight is just not
Yeah.
good as a second last fight. No.
Yeah. I think the whole Kamek thing is I think it's a very interesting thing because it does just change all your stickers to worthless flip-flops.
Yeah.
But it's not the sort of thing I think is super fun, but I respect the gimmick they were going for to try and make Kamek just a bit more unique and stand out more, which Kamek does.
Yeah,
You
I
remember the
yeah.
Kamek fights where you don't really remember like a big beetle fight or things like that.
Beetle, yeah, I agree. In general, Kamek is one of the very few characters they put effort into. Like they actually wrote him pretty well. The levels he actually appears in are
Yeah.
like 2-2, the Ghost House, and 6-3. Are there any other levels he shows up in? Like 1-1? I don't know. The levels he
Uh
is in. Oh, 3-3
one
when
of the world
when
ones.
he dismembers Wiggler. That's also a fun one. Like Kamek
Yeah.
in general is a well-written character. That's yeah. Too bad he's one of the very few ones, but like he's fine. He's good.
Hmm.
Serviceable. He's way
Yeah.
more of an antagonist than Bowser ever was in the entire game.
Yeah. And I think it could that's the sort of trope that can be done well because, hide the big boss until the very end where now he's super powerful so you wouldn't have stood a chance earlier.
Yeah.
That trope can work, but for the Paper Mario series where Bowser's traditionally a much bigger character, it's definitely a fumble
Yeah.
because Kamek's essentially the only antagonist, I guess Bowser Jr. too, where you're actively fighting against Bowser, where a lot of them it's just, oh, this random squid got this power that you need to get back. Oh, the snowman.
Yeah. Oh
Kamek's
yeah.
one of the few
At the end
glimpses into Bowser's
Yeah, at the end of
kingdom we
each
get.
world, it says like the backstory of the bosses. Most of them are just like, oh, so one day this enemy was existing, and then crown.
Yeah, which it's kind of it's funny to me, but it's also kind of sad where like,
Yeah.
man, I just killed this squid who likes to dance and
The
all he
thing
was doing
is,
was dancing and creating ink that
if
poisoned
anything,
everything.
if anything, they were unfortunate that the crown landed on their head.
Yeah, it's
Like,
unfortunate for them that they got the crown on them
pretty
because
much, yeah. There's two more fights that I would like to discuss. The chain chomps in 5-4 and 5-6. Those are probably the
mm,
most cryptic puzzles in the entire game. I get
yeah,
the 5-4 one, okay. I get stomping down the pole before the chain chomp wakes up, but the 5-6 one, there's just no damn excuse. You have to hit it with a bar hammer, get it to sleep, run away from the battle, stomp the pole, go back into the battle, and wake him up. Huh?
yeah.
Like,
That's
what?
one that I distinctly remember from my childhood being confusing. So my most recent playthrough, I didn't struggle with it, but
Probably because you
originally
knew what to
it's
do.
yeah, exactly. I remembered it from the last time. And I think it's I can see where the devs' heads were at. They're like, oh, 5-4, they have to learn. Sleeping chain chomps let you hammer down the thing. And they give you a bunch of baw hammers right before, which is actually what
Yeah.
reminded me, like, hey, this is coming up. But going in completely blind, it's not a well designed puzzle because
Especially when the
you
bar hammer
don't
is like
know that.
barely, especially when the bar hammer is like barely useful the rest of the game. I kid you not, the first time I used it the entire game was in 5-6. I
Yeah,
completely
it's
avoided the bar hammer the entire game up until 5-6.
and the only time that I ever really use them is just like I'm putting enemy to sleep so I can run away. Sleep's just not a very powerful status
Yeah.
condition in this game, and so the hammers are kind of worthless.
Yeah, they pretty much are, yeah. The bar hammers serve pretty much no purpose. Yeah,
Which
that
might be why they felt the need to include them as a puzzle to
yeah, they're
give
like,
them
"Oh
a
wait, we
reason
have
to
not."
exist.
Yeah, they're probably like, "Oh wait, we have not validated this item at all. It just exists. It's just there. Okay, here's a fight." Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, those are all the battles. Actually, no, there's still the final Bowser. We'll cover that last. My next talking point: the pacing is bad. Like the general pacing of the
Mm.
game, to me at least, it feels like the second half goes by a ton faster. Like everything after
Yeah,
Surfside
which
Harbor, just you know.
I think though part of that
I
from
know.
my playtime I've done, it took about the same amount of time. I think part of the reason it feels like it goes by faster is just because World 4 and 5 do a lot of more cool gimmicks that
Yeah, I definitely agree that
break it up and
the second half, except for the final Bowser, in my opinion, is a lot better than the first half. The first half is, I don't like it.
yeah.
I mean, World 1 is mediocre. I don't hate World 1. I think it's perfectly serviceable.
Yeah.
World
It's a
2,
standard introduction.
yeah, World 2 is weirdly really difficult. I remember spending on the first day of my it's second actually. Second day of my Greece trip, I spent 2 full hours doing levels 2-2 and 2-3. Just those.
Yeah.
And then I proceeded to spend like the same amount of time on like the entirety of World 5. Like it's insane how hard World 2 is, at least to me. I found World
Yeah.
2
And I think part of that's
just yeah, you
like I love the vibe of World 2, but
me
I
too.
don't love the execution where you have to backtrack a lot unless you already know the solutions to the puzzles.
Yeah. Two,
Because you
three,
need to
and
get
two,
you need
three
to
in
beat each
general.
level, but you also need to collect it.
Yeah, two,
What were
three
you
in
saying? Sorry.
general. 2-3 is the worst offender in this, in my opinion. Having to
Mm.
reset the entire maze every time you make one wrong turn is really stupid, in my opinion, at least. Like
Um,
I don't like that. And
yeah.
with the tablet pieces, I knew to collect them beforehand, so the backtracking
Mm.
wasn't that hard, wasn't that bad because I didn't need to backtrack except for like going to 2-4, which was like, okay, go back all the way to the Surfside and get the goddamn vacuum, go back, go to 1-3, get the tap, come back. That was the most of the backtracking I had
Yeah.
to do in World 2. But if you don't know that you need the tablet pieces for 2-5, yeah, the backtracking is horrendous. And some of those also are hidden
Mhm.
in really bad spots. Like the 2-1 tablet piece is genuinely so stupid. The other two are fine. The World 2 one, like you can see it on on the tongue of the Yoshi, like that's fine. The 2
Yeah.
4 one is pretty much given to you by default, but the 1 and 2 1 is inexcusable to me.
See, is that the one where you have to sink in the sand?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that one is they give you a hint much later on to be like, oh, you need to find this. And it's definitely the sort of thing that is more annoying than fun.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it comes down to how much fun you're having in the game. If you're playing it just to get through it, it becomes a slog. But if you
Yeah.
love the game,
I get it.
because things are fun, like the combat, if the combat was really good, it wouldn't be as big of a deal to play through a level again.
I feel like
So I
for
think that comes back to what you were saying about
yeah, I played it for a
how if
video, which is
you
like
enjoy the yeah, if it kind of goes back to what you were saying about how if you're kind of playing because you love the game versus if you don't, and also it comes back to just if you find the combat system fun, you're going to enjoy it a lot more. Where if you're not enjoying the combat system like you don't, backtracking is a lot less fun.
yeah, I
So
get
I
it.
totally get how you wouldn't enjoy it.
Yeah. For me, definitely the way I played the game was I pretty much played World 1 entirely like as I like on like the first couple days of me owning the game, I did most of World 1. I stopped at 1/6 because I was too bad to beat the Goomba. And then when I went to Greece, I did every single other level except for the final boss. And as much as the only parts of Worlds 2 and 3 that I enjoyed were Sniff It or Whiff It and the two bosses, and on the
Mm,
second half of the game I generally enjoyed a lot more. Like Worlds 4, 5, and 2/3 of World 6 I enjoyed. Those were good levels. I liked them. um for that to say, like Worlds 2 and 3, this is the main reason why I say the pacing is bad. You will spend over half of your time in Worlds 2 and 3, and then the entire rest is
yeah,
Worlds 1, 4, 5, and 6. World 6 literally has 3 levels. One of which is one of which is a barrier of entry, and the other one is the final boss, which is like that's barely a world, really.
yeah, it's much less a world and more of, hey, we'll throw one final level in before the big boss fight.
Yeah.
Which, while it's a fun world or a fun level, it's not
Yeah.
incredible.
The airship is not bad. Yeah, I'll say the airship level is pretty good. I like the airship level. It has a stupid puzzle like the one where you have to take the bullet blaster and turn it into the ship. That's weird. And side tangent. Why is there no hint that you can paperize something? There really should be. Because the only hint that you get is once you
Yeah.
actually paperize, like a little corner of it comes off. Why could that not have been in the actual
Hmm.
game, the hint that you can actually paperize it? That would have made so many puzzles a lot simpler and way less cryptic.
Yeah.
Once
And there are
again,
a few where it does show as kind of a hint, but a lot of them it's like, oh, I literally like the bullet bill one is the worst offender, I think, because you're not changing anything.
yeah, you
And it
literally
would
just
greatly benefit from
yeah,
a
just
way to show that you can move it.
like if I feel like the Enigma Mansion does the paperization thing pretty well in the sense that there are multiple things that have the same outline, so you can put them in different places. The Enigma Mansion does that well. Once
Yeah.
again, just that level is peak. It's probably the best level in the game. I like that level a lot. Like, just do something creative like how the Enigma Mansion does it, or just have like the little corner thing show up in actual gameplay, not just in paperization. That would make it a lot better.
Yeah. It's a shame that it doesn't do all those things because
Yeah, there.
I know the most annoying I or the most annoyed the game makes me is when I can't figure out how to progress and it turns out to just be, oh, you needed to paperize on this screen and do
Yeah,
this very specific thing.
yeah. There are. I would have said this in the video. I think I actually did. I don't remember exactly, but there are so many small tweaks that would make this game so much better, and they just didn't do them. There are so many little
Hmm.
things you could have done, and the game would have been infinitely better. But just no.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like the hindsight. Like you look at it now that it's complete and think, hey, I wish we could change all these little details.
Yeah,
I don't want to get mad at the devs for it
yeah.
because they didn't know all those
It also
things,
took
but
them five
I do
goddamn
wish,
years to finish it. From what I hear, the production of this game was very troubled. So like, I don't blame them that they
yeah,
pumped out what they did. But like at the same time, I just feel bad. It could have been so much better. And you know what? I'm pretty sure
yeah,
like the executive producer of this game said it turned out bad in an interview after it came out. I remember
mm,
seeing that in Chugga Conroy's video about the game. He said that Shigeru Miyamoto and Kensuke Tanabe, which is the guy that pretty much the executive producer of the game, they both said that they do not like the final product. Shigeru Miyamoto played a prototype in spring of 2011, which is like a year and a half before the game actually released, and he said it was boring.
Mhm.
That's literally Shigeru Miyamoto's words on the game. And Kensuke Tanabe said that it was genuinely not. He does not like the final game. So
Yeah.
it took them 5 whole years to make it, and I'm also pretty sure it lost its series director along the way as well. Like the guys that directed the original trilogy, I'm pretty sure he left in the production of Sticker Star.
Mm,
I also heard that from Chugga Conroy. So this game had an insanely troubled development cycle, which I feel like explains why it turned out the way it is. But like someone I want someone to make a mod of the game that just fixes all of these little issues and see how much better it gets. It was like it really makes you
yeah.
wonder what could have been. Because this could have been like a worthy Paper Mario 4 in the general public's eyes, but instead we got this, which has just so many core flaws. Because there you can enjoy the game. I have seen a bunch of people that do genuinely enjoy the game, and like I would have as well if it had tiny little changes, you know?
Yeah. It's a
Um,
game that's close to being awesome, but
yeah, it's just
falls
not there
short
yet. Like, I feel like
just too
that's a
much.
great way to put it because in that sense, the people that actually enjoy this game, they just can look past the all of the glaring flaws and actually enjoy what's being given to them. People like you said that you genuinely like the combat system, which is other people's main issue with the game, which leads to you enjoying the full thing. Just
Hmm.
yeah, I feel like being able to look past certain areas of the game is what leads people to actually enjoy it. I myself
Yeah.
could not look past the very glaring issues. So anyway, back to the pacing that we were talking about. The fact that you
But yeah,
spend not half, the fact that you spend twice as much time in World 3, probably a lot more in World 3 than twice, because there's a lot of backtracking there. I feel like also contributes to the really bad first half heavy pacing, because World 3 has the most levels by a landslide.
yeah. It has,
12. 12.
what is it, 12 individual levels, and that doesn't include how many times you backtrack through
Yeah.
them.
Literally every single time you catch a Wiggler segment, it runs off. I hate that shit. It's so stupid. The Wiggler segments,
Yeah.
I personally have a grudge with because Nintendo thinks they're so adorable. They're not. They're just annoying.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing that I enjoyed more as a kid because, oh, it's Mario, I love this. Whereas an adult, my standards have kind of grown.
Yeah,
And I don't like the Wigglers as much as I used to be able to tolerate them.
yeah.
But I do think World 3 is just an interesting thing because so many of the puzzles, I guess, the things they do there, they could have cut it out and it would have made the game better.
It would have, yeah.
Like if they just had, like if there are 6 levels there compared to the rest, they had Sniff It to Whiff It, they had the cave one where you lose all your stickers, they
I
had the
feel like
Wiggler tree house.
there's definitely a lot of levels in World 3 that are very disposable. Very, very disposable. Um,
Yeah,
let's do a little bit of a thought experiment. Which of the how can we cut down World 3 from 12 to like 7 levels? I feel like
yeah. Well, I think,
the first level is whatever. I feel like that can stay. I feel like that can stay.
yeah,
Then,
it's a decent introduction.
yeah, the introduction to World 3 is fine. Do we keep the choose a path level pretty much? The level where you have to choose 50 bajillion right answers in a row. I feel like that level isn't as bad as it could have been because Nintendo does give you an
Yeah,
option to remember which path to take. And that's
Hmm.
also where the bowling ball sticker is, which I remember I remember looking that up so many times that I never could realize how the hell they found the bowling ball. Because I did not get to that Wiggler segment yet, because I didn't. Once I was at 3-4 and found the bowling alley, I was immediately like, okay, how do I get the damn bowling ball? I don't know. And then I just had to
Yeah.
play the game more to find out. That bowling ball is one of the most cryptic puzzles in the entire game, probably. Because
Hmm.
you don't have the solution to the puzzle directly after you unlock it. You have to keep playing the game for, I think it's at like the third Wiggler segment. It's not even the first. It's not even the second, because the first Wiggler segment is when you first go to 3-4. And then I feel like if they put it at the second one, I feel like that would have been fine. But no, they put it all the way at the third one. So you have to do 3-5, 3-6, 3-7, 3-8, 3-9, 3-10, and then 3-2 again. I feel like that's way too much
Yeah.
time in between unlocking the bowling ball puzzle and the bowling ball itself.
Yeah. And I think the biggest problem is, like you said, people see the bowling alley and they're immediately like, hey, I know a solution to this. I need to find a bowling ball thing. And so they go check how to do it. And the fact that it doesn't unlock until later is just a big flaw.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with I remembered the maze puzzle existed and I just looked up the speed run for it so I'd know exactly which paths to choose. I think it's a fun level concept and I don't dislike it. So I'd like to keep it in
Yeah, I would also like to
overall,
keep it in
but
just because of the concept. I remember, I don't necessarily hate it. I probably would, but the only time I've beaten the game, because I've only beaten it once, I just guessed all but one. All but one of the. That was the second to last one that I did not manage to guess. I guessed out of like the five that you have to, I guessed four first try. I don't know how. I just
nice.
did. I got so lucky. Like that final
Yeah.
five path, I guessed that one perfectly first try, which is insane. But yeah,
Wow.
I probably would have
That's
hated the
impressive.
level otherwise, but I just got really lucky. I was gonna talk about the. This is off topic, but it's still in World 3. The Book of Wiggler. The fact that most of that book is like completely missable if you just don't randomly think to bring, for example, to bring a Wiggler segment to 3-2 to see the goddamn dandelion. Like, that's so weird. Unless you think to take a Wiggler segment back to Sniff It to Whiff It and do that again, that's permanently missable. There's just, unless I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, unless you take a Wiggler segment to 3-6, a level that does not have a Wiggler segment, you just take one to the shop area of all places, voice crack, and you make it look out the thing, it's permanently missable. That's so odd. It's so weird,
Yeah.
you know?
I think that yeah. I
You say.
love the Book of Wiggler as a whole, as a concept,
Yeah.
because it just,
I also
to
think
me, it
it's
just
Yeah, I also
makes
think
it
it's cool.
wholesome.
I just think it's weird. Like, I do agree with you. It is wholesome. It is cool. But like, why can you miss it forever? Like, if you're going for 100% but did not intend to do that from the very beginning, how could you have known that? It's just so
Hmm.
odd, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely a sad thing because the game seems to want you to 100% it. Like, there's the museum in the main starting area where you can collect one of every sticker and bring it there.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of things that just imply, like, hey, this is a game you should try in 100% if you want to. So having things that are permanently missable does seem to counteract that.
Yeah. It does. I found out about the sticker museum once again through Chugga Conroy's video, and then I went back to my save file and unlocked it. And just put some one of every sticker that I had on me. I put in there. I think the sticker museum is a neat idea. The reward for completing it is stupid, but whatever. I know it's like
What is the reward for completing it?
it's a music library for collecting everything sticker and an enemy viewer for the normal ones. And they're also timed. You have to pay to use them. You have to pay 1 coin. That's just so stupid. Why? Why do you unlock like basically the suburban almanac from Plants vs Zombies for that? It's weird.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
kind of like the idea of having things like that, where, hey, if you really love the game enough to go through with it all, you unlock these cool bonus things.
Yes.
But I'm also kind of glad it's not anything super required. It's not like, oh, you get 5 extra HP, so if you want to max out your health, you have to complete the sticker museum. It's just
Wait.
sort of an
Do
optional
you?
thing in there.
Okay, back to shortening down World 3. I think we
Yeah,
can keep 3-2. Same with 3-3. We can keep 3-3
yeah.
because
I
that's
think 3-3 we could probably combine with the shop level that's
that's a good
just
point
kind of
actually.
there.
Yeah. That's a good point. So basically like instead of after 3-2 the map goes to the left, it could go like all the way up and then we could have the outlook point be also the Wiggler level, the Wiggler house level. That's a neat idea. I like that. I like that. And
Yeah,
then I
because
think
those two, like at the very tip,
yeah,
kind of
those
just add nothing.
yeah, those two at the very tip are the shop level and the boss level.
Hmm.
Yeah, I get. We can do that. So 3-3 and 3-6 are now one whole level. 3-3, 3-4 we kind of have to keep. It's the bowling ball level. We kind of can't avoid it in any way. On the other hand,
Yeah,
we can completely disregard 3-5. That's a nothing level. That's the one with the river that goes in a loop and you have to ride 50 billion times. And I'm pretty
you know,
sure the one level in the game where the required solution is hitting an invisible block, which is something
yeah,
for sure.
which ended my coinless run. So for personal reasons, I definitely want that level gone.
That's that's understandable. I get that. 3-7 is the cave level. We can keep that. That's an original idea. I like the cave level. So we can have a
Yeah,
Wiggler segment in 3-4, one in 3-7, and then not last one. We could have the third Wiggler segment in Sniff It or Whiff It. I don't want to disregard Sniff It or Whiff It because it's like it's good.
yeah, I love Sniffitter with it
Me
because
too.
it's just such a unique concept.
It comes completely out of left field, but I'll take it. It's fun. Good concept.
Yeah.
And then
I
I
don't know if they
feel
had it in the earlier games,
I
but I
don't
know
know.
in
I don't know
the in
either.
Color Splash they had kind of a follow-up.
Oh, cool. I have not played any other
Anyway,
game except for like those 4 hours of Paper Mario 64. I don't own any of the others. I'll get Thousand Year Door and Origami King, and then I'll probably mod Color Splash on my Wii U because yeah, I feel like it would be kind of hard to get my hands on a copy of Color Splash. But yeah,
yeah, I haven't played very much of the original trilogy. I've been meaning to get around to playing Thousand Year Door, but haven't done it yet.
we
The
can
first two
we
I
can
own on
get
my Wii
the
U, the retro versions, but
wait. There's
I'll
Thousand.
I'll get through them one day.
Oh yeah, there is Super Paper Mario on the Virtual Console on the Wii U. I forgot. I forgot Super
Yeah.
Paper Mario was Virtual Console. Once I buy a Wii remote, I can play that one as well because that's like one of the few ones I legit have no way of playing as of right now because I have a Wii U, but I don't have a Wii remote, so I can't play Wii games, only Wii U games.
Ooh,
Yeah, I would need to.
that's
Yeah, I need to just.
silly design choice
I
there.
I I need to get a. I need to get a Wii remote. Anyway, um, I think after Sniff It or Whiff It, just directly to the final level. I think that's fair. And we can redesign the
Yeah,
world map in a way that
because
fits that. And I think
hmm
we managed to shorten World 3 down to 7 levels and no backtracking. Wiggler segments don't run off anymore.
yeah,
So we completely got rid of 3-5, 3-8, 3-9, and 3-11. Those 4 levels completely gone, and we also merged 3-6 and 3-3. So look at that.
yeah.
We probably made the game pacing feel a lot faster. We,
Hmm.
we made the second half feel at least semi as long as the first half, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
A part of me wonders why they made World 3 so big. Do they feel like they had to draw out the game, or
Probably.
I don't know why they did it, but for whatever
The
reason they
Wiggler
did.
segments running off is genuinely just screams we need to add more gameplay time, so let's just do this.
Yeah. And I'd be so down if they did it a single time. After the first and second time, it's like, oh, I'm gonna have to do this for the other two also, aren't I? And
Yeah.
it just becomes more of a chore and doesn't get you excited about finding the Wiggler segments anymore.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind if they ran off once to go to the bowling alley thing, because
Yeah.
that'd be
Well,
fun.
you kind of need to get the bowling alley secret, so yeah.
Yeah.
One more thing related to the bowling alley, and then final boss, and then we're done. Why did they make secret
All right.
exits why did they make secret exits completely mandatory? What's up with that? Because there are a lot of secret exits that you literally cannot miss. The game does not let you miss for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah. Honestly, it seems a lot more frequently they have it where the main entrance or the main exit is missable,
Yeah.
but you need to know where the secret exit is.
Yeah, something like 5-3. You can go directly for the secret exit in that level instead of the main one, and nothing will happen. The main exit just leads back to
Yeah.
5-1, so there's no consequence to not taking it.
Yeah, it's and the fact that you have to go through that whole cheap battle a second
Yeah.
time to get the normal one.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my
Um.
most recent playthrough, I just avoided the main exit
Yeah.
and nothing bad happened.
Yeah. I heard this in Chari5's video on this game because I watched a lot of Sticker Star videos to prep up for this. He said that if you beat the Cheap level once for the main exit, once for the second exit, if you go back, the Cheap speed is greatly increased for some reason, and the level becomes balls hard.
Uh, and that's the third time you play it?
That's yeah, you have to get the main and secret exit, and then you have to come back to the level. Like the third time, it is near impossible to beat because the cheap speed is a lot higher for no reason.
Hey, that's interesting. I don't know why they do that, but it's kind of funny.
I have one theory, and it's really stupid. 5-3 has a Mega Flash Infinite Jump in it. I feel like they made the stage really hard so that you
Ah,
can't continuously go back to get the Mega Flash Infinite Jump. Could it be because of that? Because if so, that's kind of funny.
that would be pretty funny. My question then becomes, can you get around that by never getting the main entrance, or I mean the main exit? Could you just keep going through the secret way and farm that infinite jump?
I think
Because if so,
I'm pretty sure the Mega Flash Infinite Jump is like to the right of the main exit, and then they probably expect you I'm just gonna leave
ah,
the level. But guess what? The start button takes you back to the main map, and it keeps the sticker. Got him.
true.
Yeah. I think that might be the reason, and it's still circumventable, which is very funny to me at least. Okay, time for
Yeah,
the final
the infinite
topic.
jumps are kind of broken.
Infinite jumps are
All
broken.
right.
I only used them a couple times throughout the game. If I think I used them once for the World 4 boss, got like 30 hits and then stopped. I didn't use them for the final Bowser. I think I used them that one time, and besides that I completely just did not use infinite jumps because they're stupid. Okay. Final boss time. The final boss
All right.
is probably the biggest offender when it comes to needing a certain sticker for the battle. You need like 10 of them.
Hmm.
You genuinely need like 10 different stickers to be able to do that final battle. For the first stage,
Yeah.
you need the tape or the stapler. The tape from I'm pretty sure it's a secret door in I don't remember exactly where. It's somewhere in World 3, I think. It's just a secret door in World 3. That's where the tape is. I think it's in 3-9 actually.
Mm.
And the other option you have is the stapler, which is probably what most people are going to have from
Yeah.
4-3 from the Enoch Mansion. Which like
Hmm.
fine. I feel like the stapler most people would come across, so fine. I'll give the game that. The next
Yeah.
phase, the Womp. I don't like the Womp. The only way to beat it is by using a bunch of hammer attacks on it, and then once it's down, either something like a hop slipper or a scissor, as it's indicated on its back. The first time I played the battle, I already had a scissor sticker with me. So when the Womp went to the side, it showed its back and then Bowser attacked me. I did not know that I had to first make it go down to use the sticker, to use the scissors. So I just used the
Ah,
scissors, 1 damage. Yes. So
yeah.
that's fun. I completely wasted a scissor that first time. I feel like it's weird that it shows your weakness and then unless you knock him down, which I don't know how you would find out other than by randomly using hammer attacks on it. Because the Womp seems like it would be an enemy that you can attack both with a hammer and a jump, and it would mean like basically nothing. They both deal the exact same damage. So I don't understand how you
Yeah.
can tell that the hammer knocks him down, and then after that just use the scissors. I don't know. In general, I
Mhm.
don't like the Womp. Anyways, I think
Yeah.
that's my least favorite of the entire fight because it's just how would you know? And another thing, most bosses, you after you find out what their weakness are, you can run away from them, get their weakness, and then come back. You cannot run away from the final Bowser. So after you find out what the Womp's weakness
Yeah.
is, if you don't have a pair of scissors, you're pretty much screwed. You have to deal 45 damage to it one by one, which by the way is 3 entire pages of stickers out of the 8 that you have. So if you don't have a scissor on you, the Womp literally gets rid of nearly half your fucking arsenal. Which you most likely would have big stickers with you anyway, which are like the equivalent of either 4 or 9 regular ones. So probably like half of your
Mhm.
stickers, if you don't have a scissor, are just completely gone to the Womp, which I don't think is good.
Unless you use an infinite jump.
Good point. Or like a hop slipper or something. Actually, that would.
Yeah. Honestly, the hop slippers are my favorite.
Yeah.
They're just my go-to. So
I remember
yeah. But the Womp.
for the first like half the game, I did not know that you can press like A multiple times to use the hop slipper more than once. So I was like, what the fuck? This deals 1 damage and that's it. So I just ignored them up until like the Enigmansion, Mansion, and then I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, the game doesn't do a great job of telling you, hey, press the A button on jumps and you can do multiple at a time.
Yeah, that's like
So the first time I was playing, I was just like, oh, hammers are just infinitely better.
jumps are just infinitely better.
Yeah, they are once you know how to do them.
Yeah, but like then again, even without the action commands, which by the way, I will once again draw a comparison to Paper Mario 64. There is a deliberate tutorial for the action commands. Nobody even tells you about them in Sticker Star. Just the fact that most of them have mash A as them is really stupid. But then again, without the action commands, the hammer stickers are so ass because you need to know to spam A or just like do that special timing to be able to use them because otherwise just the tip falls off and it deals 1 damage. While without the action command, a normal
Yeah,
jump always deals like a lot more. For example, I'll just take the regular Goomba. A jump deals 7 damage to a Goomba, while a hammer without the action command deals 1. So the jumps are infinitely better
yeah,
without the action commands, which you need to know to figure out, and then the
true.
hammers generally become a lot better.
hmm I agree with that. It's hammers are kind of silly
Yeah,
because, like you said, they you either time it right and they do decent damage, or you don't time it right and they do basically nothing.
yeah.
Or at least with the jumps, it's like, hey, you either
You can
do
do like
it and get more damage, or
yeah, you
you
can
don't and you
do
get like still half of its
you
effect.
can do like I'm pretty sure with a regular jump you can jump on an enemy like 5 times. And what that means that with a regular jump you can deal 7 with the regular blow, and with the other 4 that are left from doing an excellent every single time, you can deal another 4 damage. So with and that's just timing it right, which is the timing is pretty easy. Well, with the hammer, I don't think I've gotten that timing where it does like a wave thing. I don't think I've gotten that once. I just spam A the entire time and it deals 6 max, which is like nearly half of what a jump does with a good action command. So in general, the hammers, unless you have like a slap hammer or something like that, the hammers in generally are worse than the jumps.
Yeah. Slap hammers are my favorite though, just
Oh yeah.
because the cool animation that plays.
Oh yeah, I remember once
Ah,
I found out that on besides like the spear guys in World 5, pretty much no enemy is immune to slap hammers. After beating World 3, I bought like an entire page worth of them, and I just spammed them all throughout World 4. I love the slap hammer. That's like my favorite sticker. It's fun.
yeah.
So anyway, back to the final Bowser we were talking about. After the
Right.
Womp phase,
There's
we got off track again. There's the lava bubble phase, which is quite literally, if you have the correct stickers, one turn. Just pay like 30 coins on the roulette to be able to guarantee a 2, and you pretty much won that phase because all you need is either a fridge or shaved ice to freeze the lava bubbles, and then either a paper fan from 2-2, the secret door, or a fan from 1-2, which is pretty much you're guaranteed to have.
mhm.
Like, that phase is just stupid because otherwise the lava bubbles do insane amount of damage to you. At least it makes sense that that something cold would freeze them and you wouldn't be able to do something. They wouldn't be able to do something to you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, it kind of makes sense to bring a fridge to a final Bowser or something like that because, like, Bowser's inherently has, like, lava and all that in general. They're just hot atmosphere, so just bring something cold, you know? Like, that makes sense. But the fan? Like, come on.
Yeah.
It,
I think they're just banking on the fact you need the fan to progress, so you hopefully have it
yeah, have it stacked up from
somewhere.
all the way to 1-2, all the way to 6-3. Yes. Keep that saved in your inventory the entire game, pretty much. And even then, the paper fan is in 2-2, so even if you got that, it's still like, you have to wait a while. Um,
Yeah.
the next phase is probably the most unfair one, more unfair than the Womp. The Womp is the stupidest because if you don't have the right sticker, you just kind of are fucked. But here, it's
Mm.
the Chain Chomp phase, where if you don't have tail stickers, which most people would probably have tail stickers left from the airship level, like, I get that. That's totally understandable, having stuff left from that level. Because it's the level directly before. Yeah, okay, fine. But at the same time, like, can I not have like an infinite amount of tail stickers? I mean, I'm pretty sure the Chain Chomp does give you, because otherwise, if you run out of tails and do not get the timing on the Chain Chomp, you're done. You literally cannot push him off the cliff otherwise.
Yeah, you gotta restart the whole thing, not to mention the Kamek battle, which
Oh yeah,
is
the Kamek
just
battle. I hate that battle. Yeah, every time you want to take a stab at the final Bowser, you have to suffer through. You have to suffer through that. Which, like,
yeah.
yeah. If they put it as like an extra fight in like the airship level, then I would have totally understood. Like generally I would like the final level to just be the final battle, like no extra stuff, or just like
Mhm.
put a checkpoint before the Bowser if you want to. Like that's an idea. Like
Yeah.
the Kamek just having to be obligatory every single time you want to fight the final Bowser, I don't think is once again just a weird decision that they took.
Yeah. It's just another stage to the boss fight, which already has so many different stages.
Yeah,
It really would have been better if they gave Kamek
yeah,
spotlight because, like you've mentioned before, they're the only real antagonist you know.
yeah.
So maybe putting him like right before the you enter the final stage. You have to beat them, then you can leave immediately, restock everything, and then hop into the final fight.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Yeah, and now we're on to the final fight, which the final phase, which is the one where Bowser's big, and then you take off his arms, and you take him off. This phase, the fact that it just does not allow jump stickers hurts me because this is the reason that I pretty much soft locked myself at the final fight, because one sticker that I stocked up on before the final battle were flashy jump stickers, and they had no use. And not to mention,
Mhm.
before Kirsty gives you her abilities and like her power and all that, thing stickers do 1 damage to him. Pretty much everything does 1 damage to him. It's just weird. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that for like a couple turns he's just invincible. You can do nothing about it. Like just telegraph it somehow. And then after Kirsty,
Yeah.
there is one thing that you can do to pretty much trivialize the final phase. Go to 4-4, get some flashy clone jumps, and then this is the main reason I was very pissed off when I found out that this pretty much trivializes the fight. The super boot from 3-6. You know how some of the shops in the game have an extra page if you press like L and R? Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
And the super boot is specifically on the second page of 3-6, so you have to buy that because that grants any other attack immunity from the spikes. And if you once Kirsty gives you her powers, you get 5 stickers, super boot, and then 4 flashy clone jumps. That deals like 300 damage to him. And otherwise those clone jumps would be completely useless because you cannot damage him
Mhm.
directly without because he has the spikes and the jumps do nothing unless you have a super boot. And like I don't think I would have a problem if the super boot could be obtained in the airship level, for example, or literally anywhere in the game besides the secret door level. Like, if they would have put it in the 4-4 shop, then fine. But they specifically put it in the shop where the main attraction and that the thing you're always going to be coming back to is on the first page. So if you want a secret door, then there's no point to go to the second page when it's already on the first. Get your secret door, get what you wanted, leave. It's so hidden for no reason. And it trivializes that
Yeah.
fight so much. It's pretty much the thing sticker weaknesses with the other bosses, except this time it's like an actual just random normal sticker that you just have to know to have. And prior to that, it doesn't even really do much because I don't. Are there any spiky enemies besides the spear guys anywhere past 3-6? I don't think there are.
Let's see. I know there's like a handful of the spiky shell guys in World 5.
Bony beetles, yeah, the bony
That's
beetles, and specifically just
yeah.
5-5 and 5-6. But then again, that's too far away. Like the super boot is in 3-6 of all places. Yeah, just buy one, use
Yeah.
it once. Because in general, I would think you would buy like 3 of them, use one to see what it does, and then you're like, okay, I'm probably never buying this again. Like, I wouldn't have a problem with it if it was anywhere else but the shop in 3-6.
Yeah, it's very hidden and it's ultimately something I don't really think about using very often because
Well, yeah, because
like you said, it's so hidden.
all it does is just protect you from like it all it does is make jumps usable on spiky enemies, which who would want to do that when you can just use a hammer instead? Like you've been taught up to this point in the game that spiky enemies require hammer stickers. So giving you a sticker to use jumps on them, who cares? It doesn't matter. And then you pretty much,
Yeah.
unless you stock up on like Mega Flash slap hammers or whatever for the final Bowser, there's no point. You pretty much only need it for the final Bowser to make like stuff like clone jumps or infinite jumps usable on him, because otherwise you also can't use an infinite jump on the final Bowser, but you can with a super boot. Once again, trivializes the fight a
Mhm.
lot. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I just don't like that design decision. It's so backwards because that sticker is so hidden. Like it defeats all purpose.
And part of me wonders if they intended for it to just not be used on the final boss fight because they forgot about it. They're like, hey, we'll throw in this option. We'll just throw it in randomly. 3-6 works. And then they just never
Yeah.
considered someone using it on the final Bowser fight.
Yeah, because if people want it, they can use it. I'm pretty sure that was probably what they intended. They're like, if people want to use it, then fine. It pretty much gives no advantage anyway outside of the very final fight in the game. It's just, yeah, I feel like they just added it as another option and then didn't realize that it was such a cheat for the final boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing. I found that I also heard this in Chugga Conroy's video. The birthday cake thing is the only sticker in the entire game where you have to blow into the mic to activate its action command. And this happened to me as well. During the final Bowser, I
That's how
had.
it works.
Yeah, that's how it works.
I just thought it was worthless.
Yeah, the same thing happened to me. I brought it with me to the final Bowser, and I thought it would do something. Literally anything. I don't know, maybe could have taken out the candles and lit the enemy on fire or something. No, it just kind of goes in the background and then poofs away. I don't even know what it does if you blow into the mic, but that's so stupid. It's the only action command in the game that works that way, and you wouldn't even... How would you guess that? It's so unintuitive.
I mean, I obviously never knew it existed.
Yeah, and
So
I
that's,
didn't either
I know
until
the
watching
fish
Chugga
hook
Conroy's
does
video.
very
Yeah,
little.
it's just okay.
That's that's wild. Oh man.
Yeah, and then after that's the final phase of the Bowser. The entire final phase, if you have the correct stickers, aka a super boot and like some clone jumps and some infinite jumps, it's pretty much free. And then after that, that's the game. You just talk to Peach, and then the fake out ending is kind of it's kind of cute. I'll say that Bowser trying to grab the sticker comment again. Fine, like that's a cute little gag. Nobody is going to actually expect him to touch it again, except for probably like Billy preschooler. But that's it. Like that's the whole game. Good job.
Yeah, it's definitely a short and sweet game that
Yeah,
kind of drags itself out too long to
it
not
took
really hit that
yeah.
short part of the sweet.
Yeah, it took me like 24 full hours. I think it took me after I beat the final Bowser, I went to my 3DS activity log to see how long I had spent. I had spent 23 hours and 36 minutes on beating the game. And if you go in the game, it'll show you how much time you spent on a certain save file. And it said like 15 hours or so. And that means that the pretty much all of the eight and a quarter hours or so were just me resetting after like going to the home menu, exiting a level. Because if I lost a boss fight, I would
Yeah,
just go to the home menu and exit so I can keep my stickers. Because why would
right.
I not, you know?
Hmm.
So
No reason to just suffer
no
double
reason, yeah, no
losses.
reason to just grind the stickers again when you can. That's like I was trying to imitate the fucking 3DS home sound effect. And then XAA again. Good job. Yay, keep your stickers.
Yeah,
And those are
yeah.
all of the talking points that we had.
Nice. So I think to
Overall,
conclude,
I
I
think to
think a
con-
lot of your points. Oh, you go.
I think to conclude, I think Sticker Star really could have been good. It really could have. All of its problems are so easily fixable. We pretty much discussed all of the fixes like right here, right now. Because
Hmm.
they're so easy to fix. I mean, really, the only real flaw that would need significant workarounds is the battle system. But, like, stuff like the puzzles, like the paperization puzzles, have the corner out. Easy fix. Um,
Hmm.
World 3 being stupendously long. We designed a World 3 that's not stupendously long. The pacing could have been a lot better. We pretty much fixed it by making World 3 like half the length.
Yeah,
It's
it's an
it's
interesting case because I like the game, but I think objectively it's a bad one.
yeah.
And I'm totally fine with that. I can still find a lot of enjoyment out of a game that has a lot of flaws.
Yeah.
But I do
Games
hope that
yeah.
if they ever remake it, they make a lot of improvements because like you said, it could be such a good game if
Yeah.
they let it be and we're willing to
It could
put
very
in
well
that effort.
stack up to the original trilogy. Actually, I don't know if it could top Thousand Year Door, like all of that. Like it
It
would
would need
probably
a good story if it wanted to do that.
yeah. Like it could be a worthy sequel to Super Paper Mario, which is pretty much what it's advertising itself to be. Like it could be a good game.
Hmm.
And even then, like, despite all of the stuff that we just discussed about it, there are still some glimpses of good stuff in it. Like, Sniffer with it and the Ghost House are the two obvious standouts. Like, those are really good levels. And there's also other stuff
Yeah,
like the PD Piranha fight that's pretty damn good. The airship. Like, there are glimpses of quality in the game that show that it could have been good.
yeah. I think it's very interesting that certain levels are super good
Yeah,
and other levels that tend to stick to the basic formula are less good.
yeah.
When they do mix it up, that's when it gets good because I think that just overall shows the game itself isn't great, but it could be great if they change just a few more elements and things like that.
Yeah, the game could be good. I feel like that is the finishing statement. It could be.
Yeah, if they were to make a remake of it, they could change it from a widely disliked game by most Paper Mario fans to becoming something that people really do enjoy. If they
Yeah.
were willing to add a story and try and rework the battle system,
Yeah,
it could be really fun.
yeah, like they genuinely could rework the game into something that could be really good. I feel like they would have to do some workarounds to make it work on a console that isn't the 3DS because like the two screens definitely play into the game quite a lot with like the inventory battle system on the bottom screen. But I feel like in the same way they
Yeah.
reworked Miitopia for Switch, because Miitopia on 3DS, you have all of your you can beat all of Miitopia on the 3DS with just the touchscreen. And they translated it to a Switch game pretty
Mhm.
well, I would say. I feel like one thing that pisses me off about Miitopia for Switch is that they just completely got rid of touchscreen functionality. We went from beating the entire game with only the touchscreen to it just not existing, which, okay, side tangent, but okay. So they definitely can make it work on another console. Who knows? Maybe for something for the Switch successor, we could get them reworking Sticker Star into something that could be worth it and could stand along all the others. Because
Yeah.
Nintendo after Sticker Star, for whatever reason, they refused to acknowledge most of the game's flaws, and then they proceeded to make Color Splash, which from what I hear, I haven't played it, is pretty much just Sticker Star again, except it's a tiny bit better in like some other departments, like the writing, for example.
Yeah. I
So
think
yeah,
Color Splash, I won't talk too much about it because you haven't played it.
I have
It's a
not
game
played it.
that
I have not played it.
it feels like I'm playing Sticker Star again, but the writing is definitely better. It carries over a lot of the same charm, but the
Yeah.
combat system I feel like is even more dragged out than
Oh,
Sticker Stars, where you have to collect things and then use them. It just adds an element where you have to expend like paint to make your attacks more powerful,
okay, that I've heard of.
which could be a
I've
cool
heard of the paint
system,
gimmick.
but
I've heard of the paint gimmick in Color Splash.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's interesting. It's definitely worth playing, but
yeah, I've heard
I don't
that.
know if it's worth
Yeah,
completing.
I've heard the general stance on Color Splash is once you give it a shot, it's good. You just have to give it a shot, which I will. Once I feel like that Color Splash will be my next game after 64 and Thousand Year Door because like, how can I not play 64 and Thousand Year Door? But yeah, I want to
Hmm.
finish 64 now, and then I'll get Thousand Year Door, and then if I have the patience to sit through Sticker Star again, I'll play Color Splash. Because yeah,
Well, yeah, thanks for inviting me on. It's been a
yeah.
blast.
I also did not expect this to last as long as it did. This is like a 1 hour 50 minute discussion. It was
Holy cow, I didn't even realize.
yeah, it's been near 2 hours. It was genuinely really fun. I am excited to edit this down and then we can have a thing out of it. Yeah,
That'll be awesome.
that would be.
And yeah, hopefully we can collab again sometime because this has been super fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. I think I'm gonna stop recording now.